Actually, I got into music in the church world. I was actually an audio guy at a church, and they needed a guy to fill a spot in the band. So they asked me if I'd be interested in picking up an instrument. At the time, I had no instrumental knowledge, no prior use of an instrument at all. So it was kind of my first time I picked up the guitar. I probably played, I would say, a good 3 hours a night, probably for the first month or two, because they kind of needed a guitar player by a certain time because their previous guy was leaving. So that's pretty much how I learned guitar, and then from there it just kind of took off, and really enjoyed it. Really got into music at that point. I would have to say my musical influences, definitely #1 influence would be Sting. The reason I love Sting is because I feel that every single song he writes is like a different book. There's so much to be said in every song that he writes, and his lyrics are just so deep. He's such a great lyricist, and just good quality, mature music. Today I think it's really hard to find good quality, like mature music that is really focused on well-written instead of just focusing on what can get you on the radio. So I really love Sting. I have a lot of jazz influences. I listen to all types of music. I think everybody in this group does. I know I listen to a lot of Brian Culbertson and Chris Botti. I'll listen to Andre Bocelli, classical stuff. If you look on my iPod, 1 minute it's Jimmy World, the rock band, the next minute it's Sting, the next minute it's a classical record. So I just kind of skip all over the board. Wow, the band came together. Actually, quite a few of the band members have known each other for a while. Just actually friends. Me and Scott, the bass player, were probably the first to meet, and we played in a little church band together. That band I was talking about earlier. We played in a church band together and just got to know each other, hung out, skateboarded together, you know, stuff like that. But we never really had any intention at first to start a band or take it any further. I met Ben at, I had a band right after high school, and our band was in downtown Houston playing an event, and I met Ben and Nigel at this particular event. I remember seeing them backstage, and I remember walking up and seeing this guy playing this guitar, and he was warming up and he was just shredding on the guitar. And I was like, I walked up to the guy, I was like, wow man, you're really good at the guitar. And he's like, thanks, I'm Nigel. And I was like, well, I'm Jud. And then little did we know a few years later that we'd actually be working together in the same band, and that the drummer for that band would actually be our drummer. So it was a really cool way that things kind of align, the way the stars align with that particular situation. And Zach is the most recent addition to the band, and we met, oddly enough, as risque as it is, on the social networking site MySpace. I put out an ad for seeing if there's any saxophonists available in Houston that'd be interested in playing our music, and he was one of the ones that responded. And we met up a few times, listened to his music, invited him to some of the rehearsals, and it kind of all went from there. But so we kind of knew each other from different avenues and kind of came together as time went by. I guess I'd have to start out with Ben. Ben is a great asset to our band. What I love about Ben is more than just the average drummer. He's able to bring a lot more musical influences to the table and a lot more songwriting ability than most drummers. Most drummers walk in and they lay a beat to something. But Ben actually helps us work on our vocal melodies, our song structure, other melodies that we have in the song. And because of his knowledge as a songwriter, previous band leader, I think that he really brings a lot to this table, almost making it to where, as a group, we have like 4 or 5 separate songwriters in the group that are coming together. So the power of what we're able to walk away with at the end of the night is that much more amazing because of that. Scott is definitely a throwdown bass player. I've seen him walk into many places and stand right up to the top bass players. Although he will tell you that he's not really a bass player. Scott was birthed a drummer when I met him, and I convinced him to come play bass for us. I saw him piddling around on the bass one night. I said, hey man, you know, you're really good at the bass. And he's like, yeah, I just mess around on it. And I said, well, you know, would you be interested in coming and playing bass with us? And he's like, nah, he's like, I'm really into drums. So he kind of fought me on that, but I think eventually he realized that he was a really good bass player. And just some of the lines that he's able to throw in really has an effect on the way our music comes across to the ear. A lot of our underlying effect comes from that bass. Zach plays the saxophone. The saxophone to me is usually considered a solo instrument, especially in a jam band. And what Zach tries to do and what we're able to implement with the saxophone is creating a lot of melodies as well as rhythmic structure to the songs, adding to the rhythmic foundation that's already there, adding more on top of it with the saxophone. And then at some points doing some solos when we try to jam out. But that's what I love about the style and the way that Zach approaches the saxophone, is that sometimes it's a rhythmic instrument, sometimes it's a percussive instrument. So it just changes from song to song, which is really cool, and usually you won't hear that when you're mixing saxophone with a rock and roll band. And then of course Nigel, who plays the guitar, he's like our secret weapon. There's a lot of jam bands that have their one secret weapon. This band has many secret weapons, but I would say above all, Nigel is definitely the one that really puts us out in front of most bands, because we get these crazy guitar lines, solos, once again just like Zach, mixing kind of a rhythmic, a percussive, and a solo mix in every single song that we play. So it gives a really good blend of different guitar styles with all of his influences. It really comes out through his playing. And so what's cool is, as a band collectively, when we're up there playing together, we have these influences of, you know, Eric Johnson and Steve Vai and stuff like that, and then we have, you know, some crazy Victor Wooten sounds coming out of the bass, and we have some amazing sax stuff, percussive and rhythmic, and the same with the drums. And it just all blends together to create a very unique sound for our group.